What inspires me more than anything right now is the best advice I could give you to plan and inspire your career is this. So a ritual or routine that actually affects my productivity a lot.
Was there a moment when you realized you wanted to do what you do now?
There was a specific moment in my life where I realized I wanted to be a sales professional the rest of my life. And that's when I was 18 years old. You see, I used to be a golf caddy. I used to carry 2 golf bags at a time. I used to put my name on the list to get another 2 golf bags, to carry golf bags for 8 hours. And I remember when I was 18 years old, I had one of the best weeks I had ever had. I broke the company record, and that following week I got my paycheck, and it was for $8,000. I was 18 years old. And I remember showing my dad, I said, "Dad, you wouldn't even believe they took $3,000 in taxes from me." And at that point, I realized that you can acquire a skill set to make as much money as you want in your life. You just have to be really good and double down on yourself.
What was that spark of inspiration like?
So throughout my career as a sales professional, you're gonna find people that will inspire you on this end, and you're gonna find people that drain you on this end. You see, if you can put your energy where you have influence and try to surround yourself around those people that will inspire you, it's gonna really directly affect the way that you think. And the ways that you think will affect the words that come out of your mouth, which will create the emotions, which will create the feelings, which will create the judgments, which will ultimately create the decisions. And those decisions that you make are ultimately gonna lead to that life's path or that roadmap towards your freedom.
What inspires your work now?
So what inspires me more than anything right now is I think about the thousands of door-to-door sales professionals, or the thousands of sales professionals that might have never made it and decided to retreat back to their comfortable 9 to 5 because they just didn't have the right training. Sales is not easy, right? We're the only creature that faces rejection every single day. 99% of people don't do what we do because 99% of people can handle the challenges. So what inspires me is to continually give back to the community and to make an impact, and to leave a legacy, and to be able to help other individuals.
How do you approach your work when you feel a mental block toward it or feeling uninspired?
So when I feel uninspired to go to work, I just do not work. I change my mindset. I don't feel like working today, so I'm gonna go exercise and make friends. I don't feel like exercising and making friends, I'm gonna go be a professional trick-or-treater today. Maybe you're calling people on the phone and you're saying, "Hey, I don't wanna be calling people all day." Go make a friend, create a relationship that's gonna last forever. Sometimes it's the way that we think that will either inspire us or uninspire us.
What's the best advice you can give to help plan and inspire a career?
The best advice I could give you to plan and inspire your career is this. Your life is like a stock. You're always gonna be getting better or you're getting worse, and you're on something called the continuous journey towards the achievement of predetermined worthwhile goals. So find your roadmap, become myopic, cut out the distractions, eyes on the prize.
What are non-negotiables for you when it comes to choosing a company or client to work with?
So something that's non-negotiable for me when choosing a company or somebody to work with is I will never actually work for a company. I'll only work for the leader. You see, people quit companies, but people don't quit leadership. The leader that I surround myself with, I will typically do 50% of what they do right and 1,000% of what they do wrong. So really surrounding yourself and up-leveling yourself around people that you want to be around. Like I mentioned, people will either inspire you or drain you. I want to put all my energy where I have influence and surround myself around those type of beings.
How have you learned to embrace risk-taking?
Yeah, so I've learned to be a risk taker because risk is the down payment for success. Sometimes we need to commit now and we need to figure it out later. But risk-taking, calculated, is smart. But I'm always thinking 2 moves ahead. Play chess, not checkers.
Do you have a personal mentor? And if so, how did that relation come to be and what have they taught you?
So a lot of you guys don't know my story with Tom Hopkins. Tom Hopkins is my mentor. He's the father of how-to sales training. Back when I was 24 years old, I was interviewed by a gentleman named Grant Cardone on a show called Power Players. Tom had seen that and invited me to Arizona to stay at his home and present at a seminar. And the thing about Tom is it's always resonated with me that he teaches the how-tos, the meat and potatoes with sales, not just motivation, not just ideas, but things that will actually work.
Would you consider your work a passion? Or do you try to separate work from your passions?
My work is definitely my passion. The way I would define passion is anger and love. You've got to be so aggressive but kind. You've got to be so assertive, but you've got to be nice. And you've got to have your eyes on the prize, because if you're not playing a game, if you're not paying attention to the scoreboard will always ignore you. So yes, it is a passion for me. I love what I do, and I love to make an impact on others.
What is one important leadership lesson you've learned?
One of the most important leadership lessons that I've learned in my entire life is the first level of leadership. Before you can lead anybody else, you have to be able to lead yourself. That is the first level of leadership. And the harder that I can work on myself, the harder that I can be in my profession, the better that I can be in my profession. So work harder on yourself than you do at your job.
Do you find balance between your work and home life? If so, how do you approach that?
Yeah, balance in sales is definitely hard. You know, a lot of people that say, hey, I want to have a fully balanced life, it's really hard to get to the top if you're fully balanced. You can't be setting conflicting goals, like I'm going to be the #1 salesman in the office, but honey, I'm going to take you on 3 vacations this month. You see, I like temporary imbalance, where I can just be completely myopic and focused to get far ahead. And then when I want to be imbalanced on the opposite end of the spectrum and I want to take my wife on a 2-week vacation, I can do that, but I can justify it because of all the hard work that I put in.
Do you have a ritual or routine that you have found benefits your productivity or environment?
Yeah, so a ritual or routine that actually affects my productivity a lot is just focusing on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals for me are faith, fitness, and family. Those are very small, basic parts of information, but that's really where the core of my productivity starts. I'll also tell myself things like, am I the strobe light or am I the laser beam? Am I doing the most productive thing possible at every given moment? Sometimes I'll act and then I'll decide to feel, then wait to feel, and then decide to act. First I move, then I have the power. First you have the action, then comes the motivation. So it's little things that I tell myself to stay productive.
How can I politely communicate to my coworker that I thrive without micromanaging?
So one of the #1 important things of being a great manager is your job is to sell salesmen on selling. But here's the deal. Nobody wants to be managed. Nobody wants to be recruited. People want to be impressed, and to impress others, you have to be impressive.
You may have and open your mind to new perspectives.
One thing that I do to challenge limiting beliefs is I like to set goals that I do not believe that I'm going to hit. You see, if you're setting goals that you know that you can hit, you're working within your limited beliefs. But when you can set these crazy, unrealistic goals, even if you don't believe that you can hit them, sometimes we have to commit now, we need to figure it out later. And what's funny is when we commit to these really big goals and we visualize it and we decide to verbalize it, when you actually start to accomplish those feats, then you're actually able to work outside of your limiting beliefs.
What are your favorite way to start the day?
My favorite way to start the day is hop in the pool, 100 laps. I'm on day 16, we're making plays.
How would you have done it all differently if given the chance?
One of the best pieces of advice I could give to any professional, if I got to go back 17 years and start over from the very beginning, I think that I would try to include my family as much as possible within my journey. See, you can go really fast if you go alone, but you can go really far if you do it with other people. To be able to include others with your success, with your journey, I think that's the #1 thing that I would tell all sorts of professionals. Include others, especially your family.
What are your core values when it comes to work environment and productivity?
So some of my core values when it comes to business, 3 of the most important things that I look for that I am not willing to compromise on is trust, loyalty, and longevity. You see, being able to trust the people you work with, loyalty is rare, and then longevity. You can do things, you know, anybody can be successful for 6 months or a year, but how do you last for a time period to continually develop that skill set so you can become the best version of yourself and become the true pro?